Nobody notices the janitor. That is the universal truth of human civilization, and apparently it holds up pretty well in space, too. Marcus Webb had been mopping the same corridor on the UHS Relentless for 6 months, and he was reasonably certain that if he suddenly burst into flames, the crew would just walk around him while complaining about the smell. Which was fine by him. Perfect, actually. He had fought for 30 years to earn the right to be completely ignored, and he was not about to let anyone ruin that for him. The mop made a satisfying squeak against the polished metal floor. Squeak, squish, squish. Some people found the sound annoying. Marcus found it therapeutic. Much better than the sound of plasma cannons or the screams of diplomats realizing their peace treaty was printed on the wrong letterhead. "Move it, janitor," Captain Helena Frost said, stepping over his mop bucket without breaking stride. She was tall, blonde, and carried herself with the kind of confidence that usually preceded catastrophic mistakes. "We have actual important work happening today." Marcus nodded and continued mopping. The captain had said some variation of that sentence approximately 473 times since he had started this job. He had stopped counting after the first month, but his brain kept doing it anyway. Old habits. The bridge of the Relentless was buzzing with activity, which meant something political was happening. Marcus could smell politics from 3 decks away. It had a distinct odor, like burnt coffee mixed with desperation and PowerPoint presentations. "People, listen up," Captain Frost announced, clapping her hands together like an elementary school teacher. "Today is the day we make history. Today, humanity makes first contact with the Vraxian Empire." Ensign Tommy Rodriguez, a kid who looked like he had graduated from the academy approximately 15 minutes ago, raised his hand. "Captain, the intelligence reports say the Vraxians are extremely militaristic and have conquered 14 star systems in the past decade." "Exactly," Frost said, missing the point entirely. "Which is why our diplomatic approach will be firm but friendly. We will show them that humanity is not to be trifled with, while also extending the olive branch of peace." Marcus squeezed his mop into the bucket. The dirty water made a sound like someone giving up on life. He could relate. "Sir, should we have weapons hot?" the tactical officer asked. "Absolutely not," Frost said. "That would send the wrong message. We want them to see us as peaceful." "But Captain, they are bringing 47 warships." "And we will greet them with open arms and open minds," Frost said, which was possibly the worst strategic decision Marcus had heard since Admiral Patterson tried to negotiate with pirates using interpretive dance. He wheeled his bucket toward the corner of the bridge. Nobody stopped him. Nobody even looked at him. The security officer was literally running a weapons diagnostic and did not question why a janitor had unrestricted access to the bridge during a first contact situation. This was why Marcus loved this job. "Incoming transmission," the communications officer said. "They are requesting permission to approach." "Granted," Frost said, smoothing down her uniform. "How do I look, people? Commanding? Approachable?" "Commanding, but approachable." "You look great, Captain," someone lied. Marcus hummed quietly to himself. It was an old song from Earth. Something about leaving and never coming back. He had heard it in a bar once, right before a fight broke out over a pool game. Good times. Simpler times. "Captain," Rodriguez said, his voice cracking slightly, "they are launching smaller craft. Dozens of them. They are forming an attack perimeter." Frost waved her hand dismissively. "Standard military protocol. They are just being cautious." Marcus glanced at the tactical display. The Vraxian ships had formed a perfect encirclement pattern, overlapping firing solutions, with their flagship positioned at optimal range for a command and control setup. It was actually quite elegant, from a strategic perspective. Someone over there knew what they were doing. "Captain, they are powering weapons," Tatrios said. "Just saber rattling," Frost said, but her voice had gone up half an octave. "Open a channel." The main view screen flickered to life. General Calthor appeared, and he was exactly what you would expect from a species that conquered 14 star systems. 4 arms, 7 feet tall, face like someone had taken a lizard and made it angry for a living. His armor looked like it had been through actual wars, which was more than Marcus could say for anyone else on the bridge. I am General Calthor of the Vraxian Third Fleet, the alien said, his voice like gravel being churned in a cement mixer. You will surrender your vessel immediately, or we will dismantle it for parts. You have 1 hour. The channel closed. The bridge was silent except for the quiet drip, drip, drip of water from Marcus's mop into the bucket. Well, Captain Frost said, her face the color of printer paper, that could have gone better? Marcus squeezed the mop again and went back to work. Squeak swish, squeak swish. It was going to be one of those days. The bridge of the UHS Relentless had descended into what military tacticians would call a complete dumpster fire, and what Marcus would call a typical Tuesday. Options, Captain Frost said, gripping the armrests of her chair like they were the only things keeping her from floating into space. I need options, people. We could run, the helmsman suggested. They have 47 warships, and we have 1. We could surrender, someone else offered. Absolutely not. That would look terrible on my record. Marcus paused his mopping to appreciate that particular priority list. His record. Not the survival of the crew, not the future of human-alien relations, but her personal career trajectory. Outstanding leadership right there. We could try hailing them again, the communications officer said desperately. Frost nodded like this was a brilliant tactical innovation. Yes, open a channel. Maybe I was not clear enough about our peaceful intentions. Marcus watched as they reopened communications. General Calthor appeared on screen again, looking even less interested in peace than before, which was impressive considering his first message had been, surrender or die. General Calthor, there seems to have been a misunderstanding, Frost began, and Marcus could already tell this was going to be painful. We come in peace, representing all of humanity, and we believe that through dialogue and mutual respect, we can forge a lasting friendship between our two great civilizations. Calthor stared at her for a long moment. One of his forehands reached up to scratch his chin, which apparently was a universal gesture for, "Are you serious right now?" "Human," he said slowly. "Do you think I traveled 14 light years to make friends? Well, I had hoped that... We came here to assess your species for potential conquest. Based on this conversation, I am upgrading you from potential conquest to definite conquest. You now have 55 minutes. The channel closed again. Ensign Rodriguez looked like he was about to throw up. Captain, we need to call for reinforcements. The nearest fleet is 6 days away, Tactical reported. Then we fight, the security chief said, standing up with the kind of misplaced courage that got people killed in history books. With what? Frost shrieked, her composure completely gone. We are a diplomatic vessel. Our weapons could not take down a shuttle, let alone a Vraxian warship. Marcus dunked his mop back into the bucket. The water was getting pretty dirty. He should probably change it soon, but things seemed a bit hectic at the moment and he did not want to interrupt. We could activate the self-destruct, someone suggested. That is not an option, that is suicide. At least we would deny them the satisfaction of capturing us. Captain Frost stood up and started pacing, which was Marcus's cue to move his bucket out of the walkway. She nearly tripped over it anyway because spatial awareness was apparently not covered at the academy. Think, people. What would Admiral Patterson do in this situation? Admiral Patterson got court-martialed for trying to negotiate with pirates using interpretive dance, Rodriguez said. Before that, Marcus allowed himself a small smile. He had been there for the interpretive dance incident. It had been every bit as spectacular as the reports suggested. Captain, Tactical said, they are launching boarding craft. Multiple signatures heading our way. What, they still have 40 minutes left? I do not think they care about their own deadline, sir. Frost collapsed back into her chair. This is it. This is how I die. Killed by aliens on my first major command. My mother is going to be so disappointed. Marcus checked his watch. The boarding craft would arrive in approximately 8 minutes. The Vraxians were efficient. He had to give them that. They had probably done this hundreds of times before. Arrive, threaten, board, conquer. It was a solid strategy when dealing with unprepared targets. Someone do something, Frost said, which was less of an order and more of a plea to the universe itself. The crew erupted into a chaos of overlapping suggestions. Evacuate the ship, barricade the bridge, hide in the cargo bay. Send a strongly worded complaint to the Galactic Council that definitely existed and definitely had jurisdiction here. Marcus wrung out his mop one more time and propped it carefully against the wall. He had been hoping to avoid this. He had really, truly been hoping to avoid this. But it looked like the universe had other plans, and the universe was notoriously bad at respecting his retirement. "They're docking," Tactical announced. "Hull breach in Bay 3, multiple contacts. They are coming through fast." "Lock down all access points to the bridge," Frost ordered. "Captain, they are Vraxians. Those doors will buy us maybe 2 minutes. Then we use those 2 minutes to pray." Marcus walked across the bridge, his shoes squeaking slightly on the floor he had just mopped. He had done a good job on it, too. It was a shame it was about to get scuffed up by a bunch of aliens with no respect for proper floor maintenance. Rodriguez looked up at him as he passed. "Hey, janitor guy, maybe you should hide or something. This is about to get ugly." Marcus appreciated the concern. The kid had a good heart. "I will be fine, son. Thanks, though. Seriously, man, they are literally about to breach the bridge." As if on cue, the sound of plasma cutters began echoing through the corridor outside. The doors started glowing orange at the edges. The crew members drew their sidearms, which was adorable in a completely futile kind of way. Captain Frost stood up one more time, straightening her uniform. "Whatever happens, remember that we are representatives of humanity. We will face this with dignity." The door exploded inward with a shower of sparks and molten metal. Vraxian soldiers poured through, their weapons trained on everyone, their armor making them look like walking tanks. They moved with military precision, securing the bridge in under 15 seconds. And then General Calthor stepped through, all 4 arms spread wide in a gesture that was probably meant to be intimidating. It was working. Most of the crew looked ready to pass out. "Humans," Calthor announced, his voice booming across the bridge. "Your time is up. This vessel now belongs to the Vraxian Empire. You will surrender all command codes, or we will extract them from your corpses. Either way works for us." Captain Frost opened her mouth to respond, probably to beg or negotiate or possibly suggest a game of chess to decide Earth's fate. But before she could speak, Marcus Webb stepped forward, still holding his mop bucket. "Excuse me," he said politely, "you are standing in my spot." The bridge went so quiet you could hear the ventilation system humming. Every human eye turned to Marcus. Every Vraxian weapon stayed pointed at the crew. But you could tell the soldiers were confused about whether the janitor was included in the threatening or not. General Calthor looked down at Marcus like someone had just handed him a puzzle with missing pieces. "What?" "My spot," Marcus repeated, gesturing with the mop handle. "You are standing in it. I just cleaned that section, and your boots are tracking in mud from the cargo bay, which, by the way, also needs mopping now, so thanks for that." Captain Frost made a sound somewhere between a gasp and a whimper. "Oh my God, not now, please, not now." Marcus ignored her. He had tunnel vision when it came to proper floor maintenance. "Also, someone bring me my coffee. Black, 2 sugars. I was supposed to get it 15 minutes ago, and I have been very patient about the whole alien invasion situation. But I really need my coffee." Calthor's forearms tensed. His face, which was already a disturbing shade of purple, somehow got darker. "Did this human just order me to move?" "Not you specifically," Marcus said. "Anyone in my spot needs to move. It is not personal, just basic workplace protocol." One of the Vraxian soldiers made a clicking sound that might have been their version of a laugh. Calthor silenced him with a look that could melt steel. "Captain Frost," Calthor said, not taking his eyes off Marcus, "do you regularly allow your maintenance staff to interrupt military operations?" Frost looked like she wanted the floor to open up and swallow her. "I am so sorry, General. He is just the janitor. He is probably in shock. Marcus, please, for the love of everything holy, shut up and get behind me." "I am not in shock," Marcus said. "I am under-caffeinated, which is significantly worse." Rodriguez, bless his heart, actually started moving toward the break room. "I can get the coffee. I know how he likes it." "Nobody is getting coffee," Calthor roared, and 3 of his 4 hands went to various weapons on his belt. "This human has insulted me for the last time. I am going to make an example of him that your species will remember for generations." He took a step toward Marcus, his boot making a wet squelch on the freshly mopped floor. And then he froze. It was not a dramatic freeze, not a sudden stop like in the movies. It was the kind of freeze that happens when your brain processes information it was not expecting, and your body decides to just stop all operations until further notice. Calthor's purple face went pale blue. Not a little pale. Full pale. Like someone had drained the color out of him with a syringe. His forearms, which had been reaching for weapons, slowly dropped to his sides. "No," he whispered, which was impressive, because Marcus did not think Braxians could whisper. "No, it cannot be." Marcus sighed. He had really hoped this would not happen. "Can I get my coffee first before we do this whole thing?" Calthor took a step back. Then another step. His soldiers looked at him like he had lost his mind, which was fair because from their perspective, their commanding general was backing away from a janitor holding a mop. "You," Calthor said, his voice shaking. "You are him. You are actually him." Captain Frost looked between them. "Him who? What is happening right now?" Marcus set down his mop bucket with a resigned thud. "Yeah, it is me." Calthor's forearm suddenly snapped up in a perfect military salute. His soldiers, seeing this, immediately followed suit, weapons still pointing at the crew, but now with significantly less conviction. "Admiral Marcus Webb," Calthor said, and his voice had gone from conquering warlord to terrified cadet in about 3 seconds. "Sir, I did not know. We did not know. The intelligence reports said you were retired." The bridge erupted into chaos. "Admiral?" Frost squeaked. "Webb?" Rodriguez said. "Like the Marcus Webb?" "The ghost of Proxima?" Tactical gasped. "The guy who ended the Centauri War with a transport ship and a box of protein bars?" Someone else added. Marcus rubbed his temples. "It was beef jerky, not protein bars. Get your facts straight." Calthor was still standing at attention, which looked ridiculous on a 7-foot-tall alien general who had been threatening to commit genocide 30 seconds earlier. "Sir, I must apologize. If I had known you were aboard this vessel, we would never have approached. This is a terrible mistake, a catastrophic misunderstanding." "Uh-huh," Marcus said. "The Vraxian Empire has enormous respect for your tactical genius. Your victory at Proxima Centauri is studied in every military academy across 14 systems." 15 systems, one of the soldiers corrected quietly. 15 systems, Calthor amended. "Sir, please, you must understand. We came here to assess humanity's military readiness. We had no intelligence suggesting that you were still in service, much less stationed on this vessel." Marcus looked at Captain Frost, who had gone from terrified to confused to possibly having a stroke. Her mouth was opening and closing like a fish that had just realized water was optional. "I am not in service," Marcus said. "I am a janitor." "Yes, sir, of course, sir. Deep cover, very intelligent, hiding in plain sight to assess our approach vectors." "No, I am actually a janitor. I mop floors. I empty trash cans. I fix the coffee machine when Rodriguez breaks it, which is twice a week." Rodriguez raised his hand weakly. "In my defense, that machine is very complicated." Calthor looked genuinely confused now, which was expression Marcus had never seen on a Vraxian before. "But sir, why would someone of your rank and reputation work as a janitor?" "Because I fought in 3 wars, commanded 2 fleets, and peacefully resolved 14 separate conflicts, through various means that I am not particularly proud of. And after all that, I decided that I wanted to mop floors and be left alone. Is that so hard to understand?" "Yes, sir. Very hard, sir." Marcus pointed at the crew. "Can you lower your weapons, please? You are making everyone nervous, and I still have not gotten my coffee." Calthor immediately gestured to his soldiers, who lowered their weapons with visible relief. "Of course, Admiral. Anything you need. I need you to stop calling me Admiral. I need my coffee, and I need everyone to calm down so we can have a reasonable conversation about why you decided to invade a diplomatic vessel with 47 warships." Captain Frost finally found her voice. "Marcus, you are Marcus Webb, the Marcus Webb, and I have been ordering you to clean toilets for 6 months." "You have excellent memory, Captain." Oh my God. Oh my God, I am going to be court-martialed. I am going to be court-martialed for making an admiral clean toilets. Technically, I volunteered, Marcus said. The toilets were already dirty when I got here. Rodriguez appeared with a steaming cup of coffee. His hand was shaking so badly that half of it sloshed onto the floor Marcus had just cleaned. Here, sir, Admiral, janitor, sir. Marcus took the coffee and sipped it. Perfect temperature, 2 sugars. The kid was good at following instructions. Thanks, Tommy. You can breathe now. Rodriguez inhaled sharply, apparently having forgotten how breathing worked. Marcus turned back to Calthor, who was still standing at attention like his spine had been replaced with a metal rod. Okay, General, let us talk about this invasion thing you have going on. Take a seat. This might take a while. General Calthor did not sit. Standing at attention seemed to be the only thing keeping his central nervous system functional. His soldiers had backed up against the walls, weapons holstered, looking like they desperately wanted to be anywhere else in the galaxy. Captain Frost, on the other hand, had finally sat down, mostly because her legs had stopped working. She was staring at Marcus like he had just revealed he was actually 3 raccoons in a uniform. So, Marcus said, taking another sip of coffee, before we get into the whole negotiation thing, I feel like everyone here deserves some context. Captain Frost, you look like you're about to have an aneurysm. Breathe. Frost breathed. It sounded like a balloon losing air. General Calthor, you want to tell them or should I? Calthor cleared his throat, which sounded like gravel going through a garbage disposal. 5 years ago, the Centauri Confederation declared war on the Terran Alliance. It was supposed to be a quick campaign. Humanity was new to space, inexperienced, with limited military assets. The Centauri had been conquering systems for 2 centuries. They had every advantage. Rodriguez was leaning forward now, completely forgetting that he was technically still in danger. I read about this in school. The Centauri War lasted 6 months and ended with a complete Centauri surrender. They signed the most one-sided peace treaty in galactic history. What they do not teach you in school, Calthor continued, is how it ended. The entire war came down to one battle at Proxima Centauri. The Centauri High Command had assembled their entire fleet, 300 warships. They were going to push through Proxima and strike at Earth directly. It would have been the end of humanity as a spacefaring species. Marcus watched his coffee while Calthor talked. There was a small reflection of the bridge lights on the surface. It made ripples when the ship's engines hummed. The Terran Alliance sent everything they had to stop them, Calthor said. 52 ships. Outgunned, outmaneuvered, outnumbered 6-1. The battle was a slaughter. Within 4 hours, the human fleet was reduced to 12 ships, then 6, then 3. The bridge was silent except for the ventilation system and the quiet beeping of the sensor consoles. Even the Vraxian soldiers were listening now. And then there was 1 ship left, Calthor said quietly. The Taz Indomitable. A cruiser with a crew of 400, and commanding that ship was Admiral Marcus Webb, who had just watched his entire fleet die. Captain Frost made a sound. The Indomitable was destroyed. The records say it was destroyed. The records say a lot of things, Marcus said. Most of them are technically true. Calthor nodded. The Centauri expected the Indomitable to retreat or surrender. Instead, Admiral Webb did something that no military strategist in recorded history had ever done. He rammed his cruiser directly into the Centauri flagship at full burn. Rodriguez gasped. That is suicide. That is what the Centauri thought, Calthor said. But Admiral Webb had already evacuated his crew to the remaining escape pods. He piloted the Indomitable alone, set the reactor to overload, and turned a 400-meter cruiser into the largest kinetic weapon ever used in space combat. Marcus took another sip of coffee. The Centauri flagship had shields that could withstand anything short of a supernova. But shields need time to compensate for mass. A ship coming in at 0.95 light speed does not give them that time. The flagship was destroyed instantly. The reactor explosion took out 16 more ships in the immediate blast radius. But that still left almost 300 Centauri ships, Frost said weakly. It did, Calthor agreed. But Admiral Webb was not done. Before abandoning the Indomitable, he had transmitted a message to every Centauri vessel. The message was simple. He told them he had just destroyed their flagship and their high command with nothing but a transport cruiser and determination. Then he asked them a question. Marcus could recite the message from memory. He had written it while the Indomitable's reactor was counting down, while proximity alarms were screaming, while his hands were shaking so badly he could barely type. I asked them what they thought humanity would do with actual weapons, if we were willing to do that with a broken ship. The Centauri fleet retreated within 20 minutes, Calthor said. They surrendered within 24 hours. The peace treaty gave humanity 14 star systems, technology transfers, and a permanent seat on the Galactic Security Council. The war was over. Rodriguez looked like his brain was trying to reboot. But sir, the escape pods, how did you survive? The blast radius... I did not use an escape pod, Marcus said. I used a cargo container filled with protein bars. Well, beef jerky. I rigged a distress beacon to it and hoped someone would pick me up before I ran out of air. How long were you in there? 11 days. Do you know what it is like to eat nothing but beef jerky for 11 days? I can still taste it. It haunts me. Calthor shifted his weight. After Proxima, Admiral Webb became the most feared human in the galaxy. The Vraxian Empire studied his tactics extensively. He had 17 major victories over the next 3 years. He ended the Outer Rim Rebellion by negotiating a trade agreement while holding a broken coffee mug. He stopped the Thalaxian invasion by convincing their queen that humans tasted terrible, which we confirmed through independent research. We do not taste terrible, Marcus said. I made that up. She believed me because I was very convincing. He resolved the Kepler station hostage crisis by walking into the station unarmed and talking the terrorists into surrendering, Calthor continued. We still do not know what he said to them. They refused to discuss it. Marcus shrugged. I told them their demands were reasonable, but their execution was terrible, and offered to help them write a better manifesto. We spent 6 hours workshopping it. Good guys, actually. Very passionate about labor rights. Captain Frost had her head in her hands. This cannot be real. This cannot be happening. And then, Calthorpe said, 5 years ago, Admiral Marcus Webb vanished. He resigned from the military, refused all honors, and disappeared. The Terran Alliance tried to find him. We tried to find him. Every intelligence agency in the galaxy spent resources trying to locate the ghost of Proxima, and the entire time, he was mopping floors on a diplomatic vessel. Best decision I ever made, Marcus said. Do you know how peaceful mopping is? Very peaceful. Therapeutic even. Rodriguez raised his hand like he was in class. Sir, why did you retire? You were a hero. You could have had any command you wanted. Marcus looked at his coffee cup. The reflection was still there, rippling gently. Because I spent 30 years fighting. I won battles I should have lost. I saved people who should have died. And every single time, I had to make decisions that kept me awake at night. After Proxima, after watching my entire fleet die, I realized something. I was good at war. Extremely good. And that terrified me. The bridge was quiet again. So I retired, Marcus continued. I told the Secretary General that I was done. I wanted a quiet job where nobody knew who I was and nobody asked me to make life or death decisions. She pulled some strings, falsified some records, and got me a janitorial position on the Relentless. Captain Frost does not know because nobody was supposed to know. It was perfect. Was, Frost said weakly. Was, Marcus agreed. Past tense. Thanks for that, General. Calthor's face had returned to its normal purple color, though he still looked like he might pass out. Admiral, I cannot apologize enough. If I had known, you would have what? Left humanity alone? Picked an easier target? Marcus set down his coffee cup on a nearby console. Rodriguez immediately moved to put a coaster under it. Good kid. Let me guess, the Vraxian Empire has been expanding for decades. You have conquered 15 systems. You have overwhelming military superiority, and you figured humanity was young, inexperienced, and ripe for the taking. Calthor said nothing, which was answer enough. Here is the thing about humanity, General. We are not the strongest species. We are not the smartest. We are not the fastest or the most advanced, but we are very, very stubborn. And when you corner us, we do things that make no tactical sense whatsoever. We turn cruise ships into weapons. We negotiate with terrorists. We eat nothing but beef jerky for 11 days in a cargo container just to prove a point. I understand, sir. Do you? Marcus picked up his coffee again. Because from where I am standing, you just tried to conquer a species without doing proper intelligence gathering. You showed up with 47 warships to intimidate one diplomatic vessel. You issued an ultimatum without understanding who you were dealing with. That is not military strategy, General. That is arrogance. One of Calthor's hands twitched. You are correct, Admiral. It was arrogance. So here is what is going to happen, Marcus said. You and I are going to sit down and have a conversation about why invading humanity is a terrible idea, and then you are going to take your 47 warships and leave, and we are all going to pretend this was a training exercise or a misunderstanding, or whatever lets you save face with your superiors. Does that work for you? Calthor straightened. Admiral Webb, I would be honored to negotiate with you. Great. Tommy, get the General some coffee. He looks like he needs it. Rodriguez scrambled toward the break room again. Captain Frost stood up slowly. Admiral Webb, I need to formally apologize for— Stop, Marcus said. You did not know. Nobody knew. That was the point. And honestly, you have been a perfectly adequate captain. A little dramatic, but adequate. I made you clean toilets. I volunteered to clean toilets. Big difference. I yelled at you for being in the way during the briefing last week. I was in the way, you were right. Frost looked like she was going to cry. I do not know how to process this. Process it later, Marcus said. Right now we have a diplomatic crisis to resolve. General Calthor, shall we? He gestured to the captain's ready room. Calthor followed him like a puppy, his soldiers staying behind on the bridge. As Marcus walked past Rodriguez, who was returning with more coffee, he paused. Thanks for the coffee, kid. You make it better than the captain. Rodriguez beamed like he had just been promoted to admiral himself. The door to the ready room closed behind them, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. After a moment, Tactical spoke. Did that just happen? I think so, Frost said. Our janitor is the ghost of Proxima. Apparently. And he just told an alien general to follow him like he was taking out the trash? It also happened. Rodriguez set down the coffee pot. I have been complaining to him about the coffee machine for 6 months. I told the man who ended the Centauri War that the espresso setting was broken. What did he say? Someone asked. He fixed it. The captain's ready room was not designed for diplomatic negotiations with 7-foot-tall aliens. General Calthor had to duck through the doorway and fold his considerable bulk into a chair that was clearly made for humans. 2 of his forearms rested on the armrests. The other 2 hovered awkwardly in his lap, like he was not sure what to do with them. Marcus sat across from him, coffee in hand, looking exactly like a janitor who had wandered into the wrong room by accident. So, Marcus said, let us talk about your invasion plan. Calthor shifted uncomfortably. The chair creaked. Admiral Webb, I want to be clear. This was a reconnaissance mission that escalated beyond our initial parameters. You brought 47 warships. We believe in thorough reconnaissance. Marcus sipped his coffee. General, I have commanded fleets. I have planned invasions. I know exactly what 47 warships means. That is not reconnaissance. That is an occupation force. You came here to conquer, assess human military response time, and establish a foothold before the Terran Alliance could mount a defense. Calthor's face did the pale blue thing again. You are correct. Of course I am correct. I wrote the manual on rapid invasion tactics. Well, I did not write it, but I did that thing at Kepler Station that made them rewrite Chapter 7. Marcus set down his coffee and leaned back in the chair. Here is my question, General. Why humanity? You have 15 conquered systems. You clearly have the military capacity to take more. There are dozens of species in this sector. Why pick a fight with us? Calthor was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice had lost some of its military formality. Honestly, Admiral, because your species is terrifying and we wanted to deal with you before you became a problem. Marcus raised an eyebrow. Explain. Humanity has been in space for less than 50 years. In that time, you have gone from primitive chemical rockets to faster-than-light travel. You won a war against the Centauri Confederation, which had been conquering systems for 2 centuries. You established colonies on 14 worlds. You have a seat on the Galactic Security Council. And you did all of this while barely understanding the technology you were using. We are quick learners. You are reckless lunatics, Calhoun said, and there was something almost like admiration in his voice. Every other species in the galaxy follows predictable patterns. They develop slowly, cautiously. They test their technology for decades before deploying it. They negotiate before they fight. Humanity does none of that. You strap experimental engines to ships and hope they do not explode. You charge into battles you cannot win and somehow win them anyway. You break every rule of warfare and call it tactics. Marcus considered this. That is fair. The Vraxian High Command ran projections. In 50 years, maybe 100, humanity will be the dominant military power in this sector. Not because you have better technology or more ships, but because you are completely unpredictable. You do things that should not work, and they work anyway. That makes you dangerous. So you decided to invade us now while we are still young. The logic was sound, Calthor said defensively. Strike before you develop a true fleet, establish dominance early, force a treaty that would limit your expansion. And then you found out I was here. And then I found out you were here, Calthor agreed. He slumped in the chair, which groaned under his weight. Admiral, I am not a fool. I know what your presence on this ship means. This was not a coincidence. You were placed here specifically to intercept threats like us. Marcus almost laughed. General, I am going to tell you something that is going to sound insane, but it is the absolute truth. Nobody placed me here. Nobody in the Terran Alliance military knew I was on this ship except the Secretary General, and she only knew because she had to falsify my employment records. I took this job because I wanted to mop floors and be left alone. Your invasion fleet showing up here was pure dumb luck. Calthor stared at him. That is impossible. Welcome to humanity, General. We specialize in impossible. But the strategic positioning of this vessel, the diplomatic mission to this sector, the timing of our arrival... Sorry, coincidence. Captain Frost was assigned here because she graduated top of her class, and someone thought she deserved a flagship posting. The diplomatic mission is real. We actually are trying to establish trade relations with the systems in this region. You just happened to show up on the day I was mopping the bridge. Marcus finished his coffee. Although, in retrospect, I am always mopping the bridge, so maybe the timing was not that coincidental. Calthor looked like his entire worldview was crumbling. You're telling me that the most feared military commander in the galaxy is working as a janitor by choice, and we stumbled into him by accident? Yes. That is the most human thing I have ever heard. Thank you. I think... Marcus set down the empty cup. Okay, General. Here is what is going to happen. You are going to take your 47 warships and leave. You are going to report back to the Vraxian High Command that humanity is not ready for first contact and that any invasion attempt would be met with overwhelming resistance. You will recommend a non-aggression pact and possibly trade negotiations, because, honestly, humanity could use some of that shield technology you guys have. Our shields are terrible. Admiral, I cannot just... Marcus held up a hand. Let me finish. You are also going to tell your superiors that this entire encounter was a training exercise. You came here to test Vraxian response times, assess long-range deployment capabilities, and evaluate human diplomatic procedures. You will report that humanity responded with appropriate caution but not hostility, and that Captain Frost conducted herself with professionalism and grace. Calthor's forearms gestured in confusion, but she fell apart. She was terrified. She was commanding a diplomatic vessel that was suddenly faced with an invasion force. Terror is the appropriate response. The fact that she did not immediately surrender or start shooting shows excellent judgment. Marcus leaned forward. Here is the thing, General. Captain Frost is a good officer. She is inexperienced, yes. A little too confident in her diplomatic training, absolutely. But she cares about her crew, she follows regulations, and she does not make stupid decisions. If you humiliate her in your report, it reflects badly on humanity. And I need humanity to look strong right now. Why do you care about her reputation? You're a janitor by choice. Because she is one of ours, Marcus said simply. And we take care of our own. Even the dramatic ones. Calthor was quiet for a long moment. What you are asking me to do is lie to the High Command? I am asking you to reframe the truth in a way that benefits both our species. You came here to assess humanity. You assessed us. You found us adequately prepared and not worth the cost of invasion. That is not a lie. That is tactics. Marcus stood up. Think about it, General. If you report this as a failed invasion, your superiors will demand to know why you retreated. You will have to explain that you fled from one ship because a janitor told you to. That does not look great on your service record. One of Calthor's hands twitched. You are manipulating me. I am negotiating. There is a difference. Marcus walked to the viewport. Outside, the Vraxian warships floated in perfect formation, their weapons still powered but not charging. If you report this as a training exercise, you look competent. You tested a new theater of operations, gathered valuable intelligence, and returned without incident. The High Command will probably commend you for your thoroughness. And in exchange, humanity gets what? Time, Marcus said. Time to build more ships, train more crews, establish more colonies. Time to become the terrifying military power your projections predict. And when we do, we will remember that the Vraxian Empire had the chance to invade us and chose not to. We will remember that General Calthor was smart enough to walk away. You are threatening me? I am offering you a way out that does not involve war. Big difference. Marcus turned from the viewport. General, I have fought enough wars. I have won enough battles. I do not want to fight the Vraxian Empire, but if you force humanity into a corner, we will do what we always do. We will improvise, escalate, and refuse to surrender until either we win or there is nothing left to fight for. And I promise you, the cost will be higher than you can imagine. Calthor stood up slowly. His head nearly touched the ceiling. You would come out of retirement. If I had to, but I really do not want to. I like mopping floors. It is peaceful. Nobody dies. The worst thing that happens is someone spills coffee and I have to clean it up. Marcus extended his hand. So what do you say, General? Do we have a deal? Calthor looked at the offered hand. In Vraxian culture, Marcus knew, physical contact with other species was reserved for either combat or binding agreements. Taking his hand would mean committing to the deal. The general reached out with one of his 4 hands and gripped Marcus's hand. His grip could have crushed bone, but he was careful. We have a deal, Admiral Webb. The Vraxian Empire will leave immediately. We will report this as a training exercise, and we will recommend non-aggression pacts and trade negotiation. Excellent. I will have Captain Frost draw up the preliminary agreements. She is actually very good at paperwork. Loves it, even. Give her something administrative and she is in heaven. Calthor released his hand. May I ask you something, Admiral? Sure. What would you have done if I had refused the deal? Marcus smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. I would have walked out onto that bridge, told Captain Frost to evacuate the crew, and then I would have done what I did at Proxima. Except this time, I know exactly how much damage a diplomatic vessel can do when you remove the safety protocols and point it at a flagship. Calthor's face went pale blue again. You are insane! No, General, I am retired. There is a difference. Insane people do crazy things for no reason. I do crazy things because I am lazy, and crazy things usually end problems faster than reasonable things. That is the worst military philosophy I have ever heard. And yet here we are, you with 47 warships and me with a mop bucket. Who is leaving? Calthor actually laughed. It sounded like rocks tumbling down a mountain. The stories about you do not do you justice, Admiral Webb. Please stop calling me Admiral. I am a janitor. You will always be the ghost of Proxima. I can live with that, barely. Marcus opened the door to the ready room. Come on, let us go tell everyone the good news. Captain Frost is probably having a breakdown, and I need to make sure she does not do anything dramatic like resign. They walked back onto the bridge together. Every eye turned to them. The The crew looked terrified. The Vraxian soldiers looked confused. Captain Frost looked like she had aged 10 years in the 15 minutes they had been gone. "Captain Frost," Marcus announced, "I am pleased to inform you that negotiations were successful. General Calthor and his fleet will be departing immediately. The Vraxian Empire wishes to establish formal diplomatic relations with humanity, and they would like you to draft the preliminary trade agreements." Frost blinked. "What?" "Trade agreements. You know, the thing you are actually trained to do. General Calthor was very impressed with your composure during the crisis and has requested that you personally handle the negotiations." Calthor nodded, playing along perfectly. "Captain Frost, your professionalism in the face of our unannounced military exercises was commendable. The Vraxian Empire looks forward to working with you." "Military exercises," Frost repeated weakly. "That is what happened," Marcus said firmly. "General Calthor was testing response times and diplomatic protocols. Bit aggressive maybe, but that is how the Vraxians train, right, General?" "Correct. We believe in realistic scenarios." Rodriguez raised his hand. "That seems extremely dangerous and possibly illegal." "Welcome to intergalactic relations, Ensign," Marcus said. "It is all danger and technicalities. Now, Captain, are you going to accept the General's request, or should I mop the bridge again? Because I really need to finish my shift." Frost stood up. She straightened her uniform, took a deep breath, and somehow managed to pull herself together. "General Calthor, the Terran Alliance would be honored to negotiate trade agreements with the Vraxian Empire. I will have my staff prepare the necessary documentation." "Excellent," Calthor said. He turned to his soldiers. "We are departing. Return to the ships. This exercise is concluded." The Vraxian soldiers filed out quickly, clearly relieved to be leaving. Calthor lingered for a moment, looking at Marcus. "Admiral, it has been an honor." "Janitor," Marcus corrected. "And the honor was mutual. Try not to invade anyone on your way home." "I will do my best." Calthorpe saluted one more time, then ducked through the doorway and was gone. The bridge was silent for approximately 5 seconds. Then everyone started talking at once. Marcus picked up his mop bucket. "Captain, I am going to finish my rounds. Let me know if you need anything. Also, the bathroom on deck 3 is out of soap. Someone should probably handle that." Frost stared at him. "Marcus, we need to talk about your continued employment. I am contracted through next year. You are a legendary admiral pretending to be a janitor." "I am a janitor who used to be an admiral. Different emphasis, more accurate." Marcus headed for the door, then paused. "Oh, and Captain, the Vraxians really do have better shield technology. When you negotiate the trade agreements, make sure you get the technical specifications. Our shields are embarrassing." "How do you know what specifications to ask for?" "I am very good at mopping near engineering. You hear things." He walked off the bridge, mop bucket squeaking behind him. Rodriguez watched him go. "Is anyone else processing this, or is it just me?" "Just you," Frost said. "The rest of us have given up on understanding anything today." The next morning, Marcus arrived for his shift at 0600 hours, exactly as he had for the past 6 months. He had his mop bucket, his cleaning supplies, and a thermos of coffee that he had made himself because the break room coffee machine was broken again. Rodriguez had apologized profusely, but Marcus had just waved him off. The kid meant well. He was just cursed when it came to espresso settings. The corridors were quiet. Most of the crew was still asleep or grabbing breakfast. This was Marcus's favorite time of day. Peaceful. No diplomatic crises. No alien invasions. Just him, the mop, and several hundred square meters of floor that needed cleaning. He made it approximately 15 meters before Captain Frost appeared. She was waiting outside her quarters, arms crossed, looking like she had not slept, which was fair. Marcus would not have slept either if he had just discovered his janitor was the most famous military commander in recent history. "Marcus," she said. "Captain," he replied. "You are up early." "I have been up all night, doing research, reading mission reports, watching archived footage from the Centauri War." She stepped in front of his mop bucket. "We need to talk." Marcus sighed. He had been hoping for at least a few hours of normalcy before this conversation happened. Captain, I have floors to clean. The floors can wait. The floors never wait. That is how you get build-up. Frost did not move. Marcus. Admiral Webb. Sir, whatever I am supposed to call you, I need to apologize. Formally. Repeatedly. Possibly for the rest of my career. You really do not. I made you clean toilets. I volunteered to clean toilets. We have been over this. I yelled at you for being in the way during briefings. It was in the way. You were right to yell. Frost ran her hands through her hair. I do not know how to command a ship that has you on it. I looked at your service record, the real one. The Secretary General sent it over, after I contacted her last night. Do you know what your record says? That I am very good at improvising? It says you have more commendations than anyone in Terran Alliance history. It says you have commanded 3 fleets, won 17 major engagements, and peacefully resolved 14 conflicts that should have ended in war. It says you turned down 4 promotions and a cabinet position. It says the president personally asked you to stay and you said no because, and I quote, you were tired of people dying because of your decisions. Marcus was quiet. That sounded like something he would say. And then, Frost continued, it says you requested a discharge, falsified your employment records with help from the Secretary General, and took a janitorial position on a diplomatic vessel because you wanted to be left alone. She looked at him. Is that really why you are here? You just wanted peace and quiet? Yes. Thank you very much, Racine said. It is retirement. Lots of people retire. Not to become janitors on the ships they used to command. Marcus set down his mop bucket. Captain, I am going to tell you something and I need you to really hear it. I spent 30 years making decisions that got people killed. Good decisions. Necessary decisions. Decisions that saved millions of lives. But they still got people killed. After Proxima, after I watched my entire fleet die so I could ram one ship into one target, I realized something. I was good at this. Too good. And if I kept doing it, I would keep making those decisions. I would keep winning battles. And I would keep losing pieces of myself every time I did. Frost said nothing. So I quit, Marcus continued. I walked away. And I found a job where the worst decision I have to make is whether to use the lemon cleaner or the pine cleaner. Nobody dies because I chose pine. Nobody sacrifices themselves because I made a tactical call. I just clean floors and fix coffee machines, and occasionally tell Rodriguez that the espresso setting is not actually that complicated. But you are still the ghost of Proxima. I am a janitor, who used to be the ghost of Proxima. Past tense. Marcus picked up his mop again. Captain, you are a good officer. You care about your crew. You follow regulations. You take your responsibilities seriously. Those are good qualities. Do not let yesterday change that. The Vraxian situation was handled. Everyone is alive. Nobody started a war. That is a successful outcome. You handled the Vraxian situation? I had a conversation with a general who was smart enough to take a way out when it was offered. You would have done the same thing if you had known who he was. Would I? Yes. Because you are not a bad captain, Frost. You are just inexperienced, and experience comes from situations like yesterday. Learn from it. Move forward. And please, for the love of everything, let me finish my shift. Frost stepped aside. The Secretary General wants to talk to you. She sent 3 messages last night. I will call her back. She said it was urgent. She always says that. It is never actually urgent. Marcus started mopping again. Squeak, squeak, squeak. Captain, I have one request. Anything. Do not treat me differently. I am still just Marcus. I still clean floors. I still fix things. I still make coffee for Rodriguez when he breaks the machine. Yesterday was an anomaly. Today is normal. I would like to keep it that way. Frost was quiet for a moment. What if another alien fleet shows up? Then you handle it. You are the captain. That is your job. And if I cannot handle it? Marcus smiled. Then I will put down my mop and we will handle it together. But I really, really hope that does not happen. I like mopping. Frost nodded slowly. Okay. You are just Marcus. the janitor, who occasionally saves humanity from intergalactic war. Occasionally is a strong word. Once, I did it once yesterday, and I am hoping that was the last time. Right, of course. Frost started to walk away, then stopped. Marcus? Yes, Captain? Thank you. For yesterday, for the negotiation, for making me look competent in front of an alien general when I was absolutely falling apart. You are welcome. Now go eat breakfast, you look terrible. Frost laughed. It was a tired laugh, but it was genuine. You know, you are a terrible subordinate. Best in the fleet, Marcus agreed. She walked away. Marcus continued mopping. The floor was getting cleaner. The water in the bucket was getting dirtier. This was good. This was right. This was exactly what he had signed up for. He made it through 3 more corridors before Ensign Rodriguez found him. Cecilia. Sir. Marcus. Admiral. Rodriguez stopped, took a breath, started again. I do not know what to call you. Marcus works. Okay. Marcus. I just wanted to say that yesterday was the most incredible thing I have ever seen. The way you handled General Calthor, the negotiation, the whole thing. It was like watching a master class in diplomacy and intimidation simultaneously. Thank you, Tommy. And I wanted to apologize for breaking the coffee machine. Again. I know you said it was fine, but now that I know you are, you, I feel even worse about it. Marcus stopped mopping. Tommy, look at me. Rodriguez looked at him. The coffee machine is broken because it is a terrible machine that was designed by someone who hates coffee. You are not cursed. The machine is cursed. And I enjoy fixing it because it gives me something to do. Do not apologize. But you are a legendary admiral. I am a janitor who used to be an admiral, and even legendary admirals need hobbies. Mine is fixing broken appliances and mopping floors. Do not overthink this. Rodriguez nodded, but he still looked uncomfortable. Can I ask you something? Why did you really retire? The official story is that you wanted peace and quiet, but there has to be more to it than that. People do not just walk away from being a hero. Marcus leaned on his mop. This was the question he had been dreading. The real question underneath all the others. Tommy, how old are you? 23, sir. And you joined the Terran Alliance because you wanted to make a difference. You wanted to explore space, meet aliens, be part of something bigger than yourself, right? Yes. I joined for the same reasons. 50 years ago, when humanity first reached the stars, I was your age. I was excited. I wanted adventure. I wanted to matter. Marcus looked at his mop bucket. The water was almost black now. He should probably change it. And I got what I wanted. I mattered. I made decisions that changed history. I saved lives. I won battles. I became the ghost of Proxima. That sounds amazing. It was terrible, Marcus said quietly. Every victory cost something. Every battle left scars. Not just on me, but on everyone who served under me. I watched friends die. I made calls that sent people into situations they did not come back from. And every time, I told myself it was necessary. It was for the greater good. It was saving more lives than it cost. Rodriguez was silent. After Proxima, after I rammed the Indomitable into that flagship, I floated in that cargo container for 11 days. 11 days with nothing but beef jerky and my thoughts. And I realized something. I did not want to be a hero anymore. I did not want to make those decisions. I wanted to be normal. I wanted to do normal things that normal people do. So when I got back, I quit. But sir, humanity needs heroes. Humanity needs competent officers, functional ships, and good diplomatic relations. Heroes are just people who got put in bad situations and made hard choices. You do not need me for that. You have Captain Frost. You have the entire Terran Alliance fleet. You have yourself. Marcus started mopping again. And besides, I am still here if you really need me. Rodriguez thought about this. That is a very pessimistic way to look at heroism. That is a very realistic way to look at heroism. There is a difference. I think I understand. Good. Now go do your actual job. I have floors to clean. Rodriguez saluted, caught himself, then just waved awkwardly and walked away. Marcus finished the corridor, changed the water in his bucket, and moved on to the next section. This was good. This was normal. This was exactly what he wanted. He made it through 2 more hours of peaceful mopping before the alarm went off. Red lights started flashing. The ship's intercom crackled to life. All hands, battle stations, unknown vessels approaching, multiple signatures. This is not a drill. Marcus closed his eyes. You have got to be kidding me. He left his mop bucket in the corridor and headed for the bridge. When he arrived, the scene was depressingly familiar. Captain Frost was in her chair, looking panicked. The crew was rushing around. The view screen showed 6 ships of a design Marcus did not recognize. Captain, the tactical officer said, they are hailing us. Open a channel, Frost said. Her voice was shaking. The view screen changed. An alien appeared. This one looked like a cross between an octopus and a very angry accountant. It had tentacles, multiple eyes, and an expression that suggested it was deeply disappointed in humanity's tax returns. Human vessel, the alien said. I am Commander Vesh, of the Kalari Trade Consortium. You are in violation of Trade Route 773. You will pay the passage fee immediately or be seized. Frost opened her mouth. No sound came out. The alien waited. Marcus sighed. He walked across the bridge, past the tactical station, past Rodriguez, who looked like he was about to pass out, and stopped next to the captain's chair. Captain Frost is busy, Marcus announced. Someone get my coffee ready. And can someone please explain to Commander Vesh that this is a diplomatic vessel on a registered mission, which means we are exempt from passage fees under the Galactic Commerce Treaty, Article 12, Section 4, Subsection B. The alien blinked all 7 of its eyes. And who are you? I am the janitor, Marcus said, and I really need my coffee. Behind him, he heard Rodriguez sprint toward the break room. Captain Frost looked at him. Marcus, what are you doing? My job, Marcus said. Apparently, the alien on the screen was scrolling through something on a datapad. The Galactic Commerce Treaty does exempt diplomatic vessels, but you must still register your passage with the local authorities. We did register, Marcus said. Check your records. The UHS Relentless, diplomatic mission to the Outer Rim, registered 3 weeks ago. Captain Helena Frost, commanding. More scrolling. I see the registration, however, there is a processing fee. How much? 5,000 credits. I will give you 2,000 credits and a recommendation to the Terran Alliance Trade Commission that the Kalari Consortium be added to our preferred vendor list. That will be worth significantly more than 3,000 credits in the long run. The alien considered this. 3,000 credits and the recommendation? 3,500 and a recommendation. Plus, I will personally ensure that Captain Frost mentions your efficient customs processing in her mission report, which will be read by the Secretary General. Deal, Vesh said immediately. Transmitting payment coordinates now. The channel closed. Marcus turned to Captain Frost. You can process that payment, right? Frost nodded mutely. Great. I am going back to mopping. Someone call me if anything else happens. Actually, do not call me. Just handle it yourselves. He paused. And someone really needs to fix the soap dispenser in the bathroom on Deck 3. I have mentioned this 3 times now. Rodriguez appeared with the coffee. His hands were shaking so badly that he had to use both of them to hold the cup steady. Marcus took the coffee, sipped it and nodded. Perfect temperature, thanks, kid. He walked off the bridge, coffee in one hand, leaving behind a crew that was staring after him like he had just performed a magic trick. Captain Frost finally found her voice. Did that just happen? I think our janitor just negotiated a trade dispute, Tactical said. Our janitor is the ghost of Proxima. Right, I keep forgetting that part. Rodriguez sat down at his station. I need a vacation. We all need a vacation, Frost agreed. Down in the corridor, Marcus returned to his mop bucket. The water had gotten cold. He should probably heat it up. Cold water did not clean as well as warm water. Basic janitorial science. He looked at his coffee cup, then at his mop, then at the ceiling. as if asking the universe why it could not just let him have one peaceful day. The universe did not answer. It never did. Marcus finished his coffee, picked up his mop, and went back to work. Squeak, swish, squeak. It was going to be one of those careers, but at least the floors would be clean.